My absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates, it's me, Stormie Grace, and welcome to your weekly horoscope for the week of August 12th, where this month we are still experiencing the energy of course, the Mercury retrograde. So I don't know about you guys, but I was pre-gaming. I feel like the Mercury, like the couple days before the Mercury retrograde was actually happening, I was teaching a class and just all these little things were going wrong that typically I never miss. But I try to be so careful when Mercury's in retrograde because I have such strong Mercury in my own chart that I was, a little bit anxious even about what the little hangups were going to be. So I don't know about you. Tell me if you guys have had any Mercury retrograde realizations already that you're like, whoop, okay, here we go. We're in it. Especially the little things that you wouldn't normally miss, especially while Mercury right now is doing its retrograde tour through the vibration of those first 4 degrees of Virgo. So we're going over the tiny details of things. Absolutely. But this week, we're also going to see that Mercury brings that retrograde back into the space of Leo, backing us all the way up into our charts into things that were happening in July. So we'll talk about what is coming up in our energy. But it's also a really important week, I think, to be paying attention to because things can be coming that are quite unexpected. And you're having to really, really check what you're doing. You're having to make your list and check it twice for absolutely sure. We're going to have the Mars-Jupiter conjunction. We're going to have the Mars-Saturn square. Then we're going to have the Jupiter-Saturn square. All of this is happening this week. So this week is loaded with a bit of intensity. There's a lot of energy that can go into it, but it's also like you have to be prepared to redo it or to do it twice. So, and maybe you want to also pay attention this week to look before you leap, then look one more time. Okay? All right, my beautiful friends, if we haven't met before, I'm practicing professional astrologer Stormie Grace, and I practice evolutionary and humanistic astrology. And if that is kind of content you like, then that's what we're doing in here. Before we jump in, if you are not already signed up for my Astrology 101 Part 2 class, where we are going to go a little bit further into aspects, we're going more into the interpretation of the chart. We're going to talk about the decans. We're going to just continue to move on your Astrology 101 foundational knowledge, but a little bit more down the road. So if you're ready for that, click the link in the description box down below and definitely get checked out. And I just found out I am also going to be stepping in at the Astrological Association conference. I'll be teaching online since it's kind of a last minute step in. So if you've been looking for a conference that you want to attend or you just want a weekend of astrological learning, you can jump in with us, and that is going to be kicking off at the end of the month, the weekend of August 31st. So I'll make sure that is in the description box down below, okay? All right, beautiful friends, into the week we go. So first things first, as we're coming in on Monday. Monday is our moon day anyway, so it's naturally a little bit slower pace. There's an intensity that governs around what the moon is doing on Monday because we all collectively kind of come in under that vibration. Now, the moon on Monday, we're coming in with the moon in introspective Scorpio vibration. So we're a little bit more private. It's maybe a little bit more guarded, a little bit more vulnerable, and none of these words are the equivalent of bad in any way, shape, or form. It's simply we're a little bit more suspect of the world around us and of ourselves as well. What are my motives? Why am I doing what I'm doing? What really lights me on fire? Maybe you're feeling a little bit more private, a little bit more in your own space as we come in on Monday. And that's okay just to know that that energy is there, though, to be mindful of it. Now, as we get to about 9:18 a.m., and this is Mountain Colorado time, so adjust your clocks, we're going to see that we step into the last quarter moon, and this is going to be at 20 degrees of Scorpio. So you want to make sure that you grab your charts, grab your natal chart. If you're at the place where you're practicing with your progress chart or your solar return chart or your lunar return chart, then grab whatever chart you're looking at, primarily your natal chart, and see what's going on and what's happening at 20 degrees of Scorpio. If you don't have your natal chart, please click in the description box down below, come over to me and get one. I give you one that's really clear so that you can understand it and so that you can see the degrees and the transits on it and translate where this is at in your particular chart, okay? And also, if you just still don't know how to find it, even after you get the chart, that's okay. I'll put a video at the end for you to check out on how to find the transit in your chart, okay? Now, this particular first quarter moon is going to back us up into 2023 2023, where we saw the beginning of this lunar phase, this lunar family coming to be. So we're going to go back to November 13th of 2023. And we were having the new moon at 20 degrees of Scorpio at that time. So you were planting your seeds of intention and you're growing what is been coming to be over the next 2 years, starting at that November 13th point. So go back in your life, go back in your journals, your calendars, what was happening at work, what was significant that you were planting seeds of intention to begin something at 20 degrees of your particular chart. Because it's also, as we're here at the first quarter time, it's a turning point now. You're in actual action. So something that you planted those seeds has popped to the surface, and now you are weeding the garden. You are seeing which actions you need to take. It's definitely a turning point. You're either committing to actually go forward with what you planted, what you wanted to bring up, or you're like, this isn't it. I need to tear it down and build something else. It can feel like there's a little bit of pressure with this as well. And I think it's the kind of pressure, though, that we need to either decide to move forward or to let something go. So I'll be curious to find out, what house is this in for you? For me, this lands in my third house. So third house projects. I knew coming up on Monday that I was probably going to be coming to the space where this book was either going to be submitted or not. So for you, what house is it happening in, and what are you committing to or letting go? Now we're going to check back in on this particular moon at the full moon time, and that won't be until May 12th of 2025, where we're going to see a full moon happening at 22 degrees of Scorpio, and then we'll bring the entire family, the entire lunar family, to a close February 9th of 2026. So man, mark your calendars and show yourself. What are you working? What are you building? Because sometimes I think the way for us to know how we're doing on the journey or what we're doing on our journey is to make sure that we're also looking backwards to see where we came from. Okay, so take really good notes. Witness your own life. Now, when we get to Tuesday morning, we're going to see that we've got a short void, of course, moon. It's going to go from 3 a.m. Mountain time to about 4 a.m. So it's just about an hour. But if you're up, or you're one of our people that are working then, or if the kids are up and somebody has an earache or whatever is going on, if you're up at this time, you want to make sure that the primary energy you're working with is one of finishing, of one of rest. If there is something that has got to have your attention at that time, just remember that for that hour, you might not be seeing things as clearly as you need to. And then, we get to 4:05 and that energy moves on and starts to clear up and you're not so foggy. And it's like, okay. But as the fog lifts, we're going to see the moon move out of all of this thinking and kind of brooding Scorpio energy and into the vibration of Sagittarius. Now, as the moon moves into Sagittarius for this next couple of days, we're first of all checking in with the truths that we've learned about ourselves emotionally deep down while the moon was traveling through Scorpio. What did you learn? What did you see? Maybe what vulnerabilities or motives came up. And with the moon in Sagittarius, you're telling the honest to goodness truth about yourself to yourself. What did you see? What did you learn about yourself? And where does that set you up for the next adventure that you would like to go on? Where does it allow you to broaden your emotional horizons? I think a really good example of this is if in relationships with work, whatever kind of relationship you have, those moments or those seasons where it's really, really tense and you're going through it and it's maybe not your favorite growth point and moment or revelation of some kind of pain point. And then you see the pain point or the challenge. And in the days that follow, you're able to actually hold more capacity for tending to the pain point, to moving honestly, to finding a solution. And I think that this transition between having the moon in Scorpio and then moving over to the moon in Sagittarius is very much so that mechanism, except for you're doing it at an emotional level. So here you know something different about yourself. You can expand your horizons and go learn and practice something a little bit different. As always, when the moon is moving, I would love for you to cook, have a little something to snack on, nutmeg, mint, saffron. Have some saffron. When's the last time you had a dish with saffron, right? It's like $10,000. So there's that. But when's the last time you had a dish with saffron? Have some of that while the moon is traveling through Sagittarius. Now, Wednesday, the energies are picking up and speeding up just a bit. Starting with, first of all, that we've got Mars coming into its actual conjunction with Jupiter in Gemini, okay? So as this conjunction comes together, Mars and Jupiter, they're ready. They're like, put me in, coach. I'm ready to go. I want to do some stuff. You can sometimes even feel this transit in your body, in your energy, and you're like, yeah, let me at them. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do this. I want to take on these new projects. You know, we're not going to see this energy again, this alignment actually until the end of 2026. So I would tell you also, whatever does come to your attention this day, where you need to be a bit more assertive, or you need to be more direct, or you need to be quick, this is good energy. Take advantage of it, but also be, especially along the lines of your creative talents, okay? But also be mindful to not make a decision so quickly that it is not well researched. Mercury is still retrograde. Mercury is the ruling planet of all of this Gemini energy that they're coming together in. So you do want to be mindful under this transit that you're being wise with any decisions that you are making. Now, looking at the chart here, this Mars-Jupiter conjunction is also creating T-square energy over to Saturn. So again, this is just kind of an indicator to me that you want to be paying attention, and you do not want to take on an opportunity that sounds like it's a really good one, but it's actually going to restrict your better opportunities, because with that Saturn there, your judgment just may not be as clear. Mercury is retrograde. And I just want to give a little bit of clarity on what I'm saying there. Is like, sometimes these really great opportunities come our way and it's like, wow, this is a fantastic opportunity, but it's the opportunity that actually leads you away from the road you have already committed to travel. You know, here's a prime example. I was offered at a time in my career while I was running my own business, I was offered a role with a company, and the pay was really good. There were, you know, all of these really great benefits, but they were going to be the owners of my time. And it was very clear that once I joined this company as well, even though my work life and my home life was probably going to be great, there was absolutely going to be a ceiling on how much I could earn and how quickly I could earn that and how I could spend my time. So that was not in alignment with the life plans that I had made with my life and with my family. So while it was really great opportunity, and it would have meant all of these things that made me feel more certain per se, right? It was going to be the thing that actually took me and my family off the course of where I really wanted to go. So you want to be mindful of this. Now, the other side of this also is that Mars is still Mars. So Mars brings and can bring inflammation where it goes. So it is a day where you could hear some harsh words. We could hear some harsh things coming out of the news. We could hear that there's been some trickery. There's been some shenanigans or something like that, you know, that has actually been done. So you do just want to be mindful, and there's under this energy that Mars can be just as inflammatory as it can be useful at helping to get things done. And Jupiter is going to definitely be working with that expansion. Now, later in the day, when we get to 6:15 p.m. Mountain Time, we're going to see that Mercury's retrograde steps back to 29 degrees of Leo, and it's going to continue to back up all the way until it gets to 21 degrees of Leo. So looking at this portion of the retrograde time, you want to go back to July 16th. In your life and in your chart, where was 21 degrees of Leo? What does that activate for you in your chart? Because this is going to tell us that this is what you're working on. You're working on all of those things that really started to kind of come up and come to your attention at that particular time. And now in the vibration of Leo, it's not so cheeky smeekies. It's not so particular like it was when it was just in those beginning vibrations of Virgo. But now as it comes back into Leo, it's going to be, where are you leading your life with your heart? And isn't this an interesting aspect to be happening after maybe you've been offered this really phenomenal opportunity, or maybe somebody's really said something and you have to lead with your heart, and you have to go in the direction of your own heart. You have to go in the direction of your most loving self and expressing that. I think this is a really powerful day for the signatures that it is showing to us. You know, where have you lost connection with your own voice? Where have you lost connection with your own pleasure, with your own play? And Mercury is giving you an opportunity to really think and review and reunion and reignite and reconnect and recommunicate what even those needs are to you. If you're a creative person, when's the last time you danced, you sang, you got on the floor, you did your art, you did that improv class, right? Where is your spoken word and taking a risk at sharing it? When's the last time you just loved and played and said playful, flirty things to your partner that keep the fun and the ease alive? When's the last time you said something wonderful and playful to your children, and it's not just about the daily habits of being, right? So this is going to be, I think, a really powerful day. As we're here on Wednesday, it's certainly energetically quite sound. Now, on Thursday, we're going to have a short void, of course. Moon is going to go from 10:51 until 11:50 a.m. Mountain Time. So take your downtime and remember that the universe is kind and it allows us to rest. Just after that, we're going to get it together because the moon is going to move into Capricorn. This isn't always the most fond energy. If you have a moon in Capricorn, you'll be in your lunar return in the next couple of days. So you might want to check out what your lunar return looks like. And I've got a video on that. If you're not sure, I'll put it at the end of this video, why that would be important to you. But those themes that come up can be quite illuminating. But for the rest of us, as the moon is traveling the next couple days in Capricorn, it's not exactly comfortable because the moon wants to express itself. It wants to express these feelings. But in Capricorn, Capricorn's like, zip that up. Why are you crying? Right? You can cry after we do the things, right? Or how do you feel? It gives us access to other emotions besides just the tears, but it gives us access to the emotions that make us feel really secure. I feel really secure about the emotional foundations. I feel really secure about the foundations that I'm creating in my life around my financial planning, around my legacy building, around the things that I have that are long-term stabilizing things that reduce the anxiety for me in my life. Right? Capricorn is going to do that. The other thing that I think that the moon traveling through Capricorn in this next couple days can really bring to your attention is, what do you need to do to be and to feel stable, so that you can really ground down and know that you are well rooted and anchored into the world, so that you can bend and not break as things need to change. What kind of grounding do you need? You probably just need more rosemary in your life, right? That's a wonderful Capricornian spice. So enjoy that. Enjoy looking at, considering even foods that will help you ground. I think that one of the cool things that you can do when the moon is in Capricorn, because Capricorn's so concerned with long-term things, take on baking something that takes a while to bake or something that takes a while to cook, so that you can even somatically feel what it's like to be in a Capricorn vibration, which is it takes time. And as it's going, you are unveiling that thing. It is coming together. Right? So try some of those things out and let me know. And if you already do that, or if you bake bread or you do something like that, let me know in the comment section down below. Oh, I'm doing my very first sourdough starter of all of the things I can cook. I've never done a sourdough starter and made a sourdough bread. So I'm doing my first one. If you have suggestions, I would love to hear that in the comment section down below. Okay, we're also going to see that the sun is going to be in a trine to Chiron. This is going to be happening at 11:12 a.m. Mountain Time. Now, as the sun and Chiron come into a trine with one another, this is a really nice connection because it's a fire trine. So first of all, this is about reignition. This is about renewal. This is about, what do you need to advance forward? The sun is motivated to speak, to lead with the heart, to have the joy, the pleasure, the play. And Chiron is coming at your life not so much as just the wounded healer, but from a different position. You're not just looking at your life from the wound so much. There has been some healing. There has been compassion for yourself. There has been acceptance and forgiveness for situations as they are. There's been forgiveness of the self, right? You did the best that you could at the time when you had what you had. And today, if you know better, you're going to do better. If you know something different, you're going to try something different, and so it's a really nice energy, I think, to first of all realize where your own inner reserves have maybe been tapped, they've been healed and readjusted, so you have a little bit more to work with. But on the other side, where are you free from some of the drama, from some of the wounds or some of the anger and resentment that you have been carrying around who you are, who you were supposed to be, who you were ever told that you were, and you're really current with the version of you that is standing and working and growing and thriving right now. It's a beautiful energy. At the end of the day, coming into the beginning of the day, depending on where you are, so I'm talking 11:30 p.m., we're going to see that Mars comes into that square with Saturn. Now, this is one of the aspects that I just feel like, woof, everybody needs to just keep your eyes, because it's essentially like Mars, right? Mars, the teenager, is like, I do what I want. And Saturn is like, you do not, my friend. You do not. Okay, so we get a tension, we get obstacles, we get a tension that feels like we're being restricted in some way, but I want to go, I want to do something. And there is this authority, this authoring, this story, this something that feels like it is greater than me standing in the way. There's something that's feels even or is more dominant than me that is stopping me from getting to something that I want. Now, the square is going to want us to take some kind of action, right? It's Mars, it's inflammatory. I want to fight. I want to fight through it. And the fight can be great. Am I fighting like, okay, I'm going to take a risk and push through a little bit and come to the other side, get out of my comfort zone a little bit? Most of the time, that's not it. In this particular arrangement, it's like, I want to fight. I'm going all in. I'm going to F the man. You know what I mean? And we make things problematic is what this energy can really do. So one of the things to do to work with it is to, first of all, realize it's real. And it's not about avoiding. It's not about avoid this energy, don't feel that tension. We need the tension to grow. We need the tension to get us from one place to another, because there is this passion or this drive that is like, I want to get to that thing. So in some way, coming up against Saturn really lets you know if you want what you say you want or you don't. You will get really clear, right? Because if you're like, I want to change my financial situation, but you're not doing the financial things, or you're doing it yourself without following or learning from someone who has the financial life that you would like to have, or if you're like, I want to learn more astrology, but you're not following anybody to teach you more astrology, or you're not setting up that schedule to study the astrology, right? Like, it's going to let you know you're not going to win with these actions. Something else has to be put in place. So something that you can do to really work with this is, first of all, acknowledge where the tension is at and ask yourself the question, do I really want what I'm saying that I want here? And also, if it's a day where you do need to work on something a little bit more by yourself because the tension is quite in your face, I would say it's a great time to be able to do that. I would not, for me personally, and as a professional, I would not file a lawsuit under this particular aspect. It is Mars square Saturn. It is Mercury retrograde. This would not be the ideal setup, I don't think, to file a lawsuit, because oftentimes you do not come out to be the victor of that particular arrangement, okay? And that's going to take us through the energy of vibing us all the way through Friday. Now, when we get to Saturday, we're going to have late afternoon will bring us to our next void of course period from 2:43 to 3:44 p.m. Colorado time. We're going to have another void of course period. So it's just nebulous. Finish it out. I wouldn't plan any new meetings. I wouldn't start anything new at this time. Let the energy finish. And even if you have to be at work and you're working on a project, you're like, Stormie, I can't just be taking a chill, okay? You can. We can have a mental relaxation. What if you have your mental claws in, right? You're like just thinking. Where can you say, for the next 1 hour, I'm going to just put my head where my hands are and just work on this. I'm not going to think about that other thing. And every time it comes in, I'm going to kick it out. Or I'm going to really notice my body for an hour, right? This is the moon traveling in those last moments of Capricorn. And notice where you're grounded. Notice where you feel grounded in your body or not, okay? Now, just after that, we'll see the moon start its travel for the next couple days through the vibration of Aquarius, bringing us to the question of where do I need to innovate? I've had really fixed thinking about something. I've had really fixed emotions about something, and I need to innovate. I need to go in a different direction. Having the moon in Aquarius ruled by Uranus and of course Saturn, it's a great time to say, all right, well, hold on, let me detach from this for just a little bit and move up to the higher seats so I can see more of the field. And this creates a little bit of a wise but electric view of what's going on in our lives so that we can detach from a little bit and go, oh, okay, well, now wait a minute, hold on, I might not have been seeing that from the fullest of perspectives. And this can help to get that emotional viewpoint into a different scenario. Now, of course, if you wanted to try something a little bit different, try cooking with violets. Have you ever cooked with a violet before? Like a violet flower? See, listen, I don't know anything about the sourdough starter. I hope it's kind of impossible to screw it up, actually, but I do know about cooking with flowers. So if you never try a little bit of violet, I love a little bit of rosemary, go ahead and put that into your food and give it a go, all right? Now, as we click over here and we get into Sunday, we are inching in to this Jupiter-Saturn square that is going to be important for us. But before we do that, we see Mercury squaring Uranus. So Sunday, I will tell you, is the action-packed day of the week, I think. So we see Mercury in a square to Uranus. So this is our thinking and our communication planet squaring against our innovative planet right here. Now, this can be challenging. This is happening at 3:46 a.m. Again, that's Mountain Time. So this is where I'm going to tell you, proceed with caution, please. Proceed with caution. This is like a surprise, something in the path, surprising information that maybe comes your way. Now, it's great because does it get you, innovated and on a different path where you're going down a different road, thinking or speaking about something really differently? Yeah, that could be great. But it can also be the thing where you're like, did I leave the curling iron on? I don't know if we're still using curling irons, but did I leave the curling iron on before I left the house? I want to make sure that that plant that I just watered is not too close to the electrical outlet. You know what I mean? I'm just doing a little bit of extra checking, because as Mercury in that full vibration of electricity that Mercury already carries on its own comes together with the also electric vibration of Uranus, these two have an opportunity to create just a little bit of chaos. Now, the other thing I would be thinking of as these two come together is it can change your social circle. It can change your friends. It can change who you feel like you're connected to. But as we've traveled through this week, we've had some opportunities to say, I'm going to commit to this path or this person, or I'm going to commit to this direction, or I'm not going to commit to it. And if you're going to go down the road of a particular commitment, what has to happen is your friends and your social group have to change. Because when our friends and our social groups change, our futures change. So you may be seeing here that even long-term friendships or connections that you have are starting to make the shift, and it can be quite sudden with Uranus in here, and it doesn't equal bad, but it does equal a commitment to a desire to go in a particular direction that you said you wanted to go. I like it because as quickly as like maybe an old friendship or an old connection is cut off, someone new or the thing that needs to replace it can usually come in quite quickly as well, okay? Now, later in the day, we're not even done with that. We're not done because Mercury is going to come cazimi. I love this. When Mercury and the sun come together, they're just like hugged up. It's like coming into a space of genius. It's really kind of a space of genius, right? It's a great time to communicate. Mercury is in retrograde, so likely you're communicating about something from the past, something that has needed a bit more of your attention in some way. And so as you're going back, you're sharing information, or maybe someone is sharing for you, or you're getting that letter in the mail that you're like, whoa, I sent for this 5 months ago. Thank God I'm hearing about it now. But it is a day of what I would call blessed or blessed, however you'd like to say that, information exchange. So really enjoy that. Now, we did see this twice before, 3 times. Where are we? We're in August, 3 times before. So we saw this in February, we saw this in April, and we saw this in June, and we're going to see it one more time in September. So go back to those 3 dates. What piece of information did you get or did you receive at that time that now is like, whoa, that was a really big deal when I got that news that particular day, okay? Now, as we are going to close out the day on Sunday, getting late into the evening, maybe earlier in the day, depending on where you live. We're talking 11:52 p.m. Mountain Time. We see Venus in a square to Jupiter. Now, these are both the benefic planets. So typically, whatever they're doing, whatever kind of alignment they're typically in with one another, we like it because they're over here bringing all the juicy benefits, right? But when the benefics square against each other, we all kind of need to take note a little bit. We're like, wait, has it just been a little bit like too good? You know, is too much good been going on, or why are we squaring against each other? What's happening here that is being called to attention? So first of all, they are still the benefics. So you're out, you're having fun, you're having a good time, whatever you're doing, you're having a good time. You can feel good. It's a benefic transit. You can feel good about what you're doing. But the thing is that you're like, I would like to feel good. I would maybe not like to be good, right? And this is where this square aspect can come in. And so what does that mean? That means a lot. Feel free to hear everything I am and am not saying on this particular transit as it applies to your life. You know, are you supposed to not be eating any sugar? And this day you're like, listen, I need to treat myself. I have committed. I've been doing so well. Or you're eating too much, or, you know, what could be going on that is just like, it's too much. I'm doing too much here. Depending on where this happens in your chart, I do think that things happen. We spend a little bit too much money. We're talking to that person that we're not really supposed to be talking to. And I guess this is also the thing too, is that humans, we really only get ourselves in a handful of doing too much trouble. That's the really cool thing. We've not come up with anything new since we got here. We just found out new ways to do those things. You know what I mean? Nobody's had the more affair. It's still just affairs, right? And now we just have technology. Nobody has done gluttony too much. Now we just do gluttony with technology, or, you know, we eat different foods, but we really only have a handful of challenges that we're working through. So whatever your particular challenges that might creep up today, remember the idea of I want to feel good, not necessarily be good or be responsible, might be coming into you. The one other thing I will say is, to the best of your ability, if you can go into Sunday, go into Monday thinking to yourself, I've worked hard to become who I am. I'm not going to lower my standards for a moment, for what's going to just be a moment. Okay? All right, my absolutely beautiful friends, please let me know about that sourdough starter and anything else that you think is really cool to cook. If you have not cooked with violets before, or if you have, let me know in the comment section down below. Don't lower those standards this week. Remember, Mercury's retrograde. Look back on your patterns, see where you've come from so that you maybe don't have to go there before. Speak up with your heart. You know what your heart wants. You know what you need. Practice that expression this week. Have a gorgeous week. Check out these videos at the end. One's going to show you how to find the transits in your chart. The other is going to talk to you about this lunar return. And of course, if you haven't already watched your August 2024 video, feel free to check it out. Bye, beautiful friends.